What's up, Wolfpack? I'm back with another video, and today is part 9 for the Alan Jackson Who Says He Can't Cook It All cookbook series. Let's get it.
The almighty dollar and the lust for worldwide fame slowly killed tradition.
Hit a little traffic. Optimist.
Decepticons.
Everybody at Stagecoach, the Grand Ole Opry has always meant a whole lot to me and everybody in country music. And I've been appreciating your music ever since you were touring with me a few years ago. And so I get the honor to invite you in front of all your Stagecoach friends out there to be the first native of California to become an official member of the Grand Ole Opry. So congratulations, John, here's to us with the silver.
It's not near as hot when you're just signing, back in was at the fairgrounds, it was like 150 degrees in those old metal buildings with no air conditioning, and we played at the the racetrack out there, so it's definitely a much cooler venue out here, not only temperature-wise, but just it's beautiful, big stadium, a lot of people. Timing wasn't planned, it just kind of ended up that way. It seems like I've always had an album come out in the fall or right before Christmas. I think they always try to do it, before Christmas, so they think they're going to sell a bunch more albums that way, but it just kind of happened this way, but it's really turned out to be seemed like a good time, timing-wise for the album. Everything is that I've done for it, just media-wise and things, seemed like it's better than doing it in the wintertime. Well, I think a lot of them are opinionated, and I think they feel like they're connected to you, and they are. I mean, I think the country music fans they enjoy knowing about you personally, and it's not most of the time in a nosy kind of way. They just are sweet and they care and they feel like they want to know about you, and they're connected to you that way. And yeah, they do. They get freaked out if you shave your mustache off, or you, like now, a lot of them fuss at me. Well, your hair, you don't let your hair grow out long anymore. And I said, well, it won't grow long anymore. This is about as long as it grows. So they do get affected by all that. And I guess the funniest thing, I wore them holy jeans ever since the Chattahoochee video when I wore them in there, and I bet I've heard a million times. Usually it's a lady more like my mama, and they'd say, I know good and well you can afford some blue jeans without holes in them now. They just always thought it was terrible. I wore them raggedy blue jeans. I said, I told them it costs more to get them to look like that than it did when you buy them off the rack. We decided to move up here. Of course, I'd never been anywhere, and I called and just rented this apartment over the telephone, and I didn't know anything about Nashville, and then it was out there near the airport, and when we showed up, we actually arrived on Labor Day weekend, which was holiday, of course, and it was supposed to be an all-adult kind of no children kind of apartment place and laid back. We got there and there was children running around all over the parking lots, and people had the cars jacked up in the thing changing oil, and it was a little different than what they described. And I think we had a fire and a gunshot within the first month or so, and and we got there that day, and I didn't know anybody in Nashville, and we had everything we owned in this U-Haul trailer, and wasn't much, and she had to help me carry a sofa up and all the heavy furniture up 2 flights of stairs to this apartment. So it was, she wasn't happy about it. It's like I was saying, I never have cared much about all that, but And a lot of times I'd shaved in the wintertime or grown a beard or something when I'm not working much, and that's what happened last December. I had finished touring, there wasn't anything going on. I thought, well, I'm just going to get tired of trimming that thing. I just shaved one day, and I have time to time, but when my children were young, it'd freak them out, so I wouldn't do it much with them, but now they're older. But what happened was that video came up all of a sudden, and it wasn't time to grow it out, so I just shot it without it, and then it just kind of, so my wife said she kind of liked it because that's the way I looked when we married. I didn't have a mustache, and so I left it that way for a while, and then a lot of people said they liked it, and a lot of people fussed about it, and I don't know, I think I just grew it back. Got tired of hearing about it. Like most people's reactions that are close to us that know what it's about. I mean, she cried and was very emotional about it, and you know, it's a heavy song, and it's, if y'all don't, some of y'all that don't know, it was when we found out Denise had cancer a year or so ago. This song just came out, and I never even told her I wrote it, and I didn't play it for her, and we went in to cut this album, and we ended up doing it, and just included it on the album and for her, and it's just a lot of emotions that was going through my mind at the time, but I tried to write it where it wasn't so obvious, and that because we learned, we met so many people and heard so many stories about going through the same situation, and I was hoping that people might relate to it that have been through that, and I think that's, so far, it's the way the reaction is being.
So much, y'all sweet. I appreciate that. First thing I want to say is that there'll never be another Loretta Lynn. That touched my heart listening to that back there. And, she was always so nice to me, and we had a good friendship, and I just really appreciated her, and we're gonna miss you, sugar. So, just wanted to say that, Loretta. But yes, I've said this before. I think I've made more videos than anybody in the world. After Chattahoochee, I was the first action video artist, I believe it, and then it was I went on to drive trucks in the mud and NASCAR race cars, and I jumped the Bigfoot, the monster truck. I jumped it over 6 cars one time. I did all that stuff, you know. Sang on top of skyscrapers, and I've done about everything on the bow of a boat in the ocean, singing with my band. We've done all that stuff, and but I always believed that the videos were important to the music, and I thought people would watch CMT in the background and listen to the music and hear your songs when they may not hear it on the radio, and I still believe that, and I'm not going to drag this on. I've been really blessed, of course, with everything, and so thankful to all my fans and all my music peers and everybody that's been so nice to me over the years. And but I was in the Bahamas about 2 years ago. It was about 5 o'clock somewhere, and so we went out to had a little tiki bar out on the beach, and we went down there and sat at the bar, and me and my boat captain was with me, and all of a sudden I started hearing all these songs of mine. I mean, it was like all the big hits you'd expect, you know, and then I'd hear all these obscure songs that I hadn't heard in forever. And I thought, what in the world? And all of a sudden I kept hearing this voice singing along with it. And I looked over there, and there was this young, big old black Bahamian bartender. And he was singing at the top of his voice all of my songs, and he sang pretty good. And I thought that was so unusual, and he came over and said hi, and he was a fan, of course, and I said, man, where are you listening to all those old songs? Some of those I hadn't heard and sung myself in years. He said, well, I got them all on my computer. I got them off CMT and everywhere. They're all your videos. And so it just made me realize then, you know, that some people don't have country radio everywhere, and nowadays they get the videos, and all that work I did all those years is paid off. So So I have to say thanks to CMT especially for getting all that music out there, because the music, they heard my songs, and sometimes the video gave it a different expression to people. They got to look at it from a different angle, and I think it was really important, and I think it's helped prop up my career all these years. So God bless CMT and all you people out there. Thank you so much.
I'm Alan Jackson, and I'm another voice against violence. Every day in America, 14 people under the age of 20 are killed by a gun. In a recent survey, 39% of kids said they knew someone who'd been killed or injured by a gun, and 60% said they knew where to get a gun. We're losing an entire generation to violence. Violence doesn't solve a thing. Think about it.
Oh, I've been working all weekend, I'm tired and I don't want to sleep and I want to have fun. Time for a good time. Where I come from, it's cornbread and chicken. It's 5 o'clock somewhere. It's gone country. Look at them boots. Yeah, way down yonder on the Chattahoochee. Never knew how much that muddy water meant to me.
One down-home favorite welcomes another to town.
Well, way down yonder on the Chattahoochee, it gets hotter than a hoochie-coochie.
Miller Lite presents Alan Jackson live in concert.
But I learned how to swim and I learned who I was. A lot about living in
Miller Lite and the Alan Jackson Tour, where great taste meets great music. That's right.
When you see as much of the road as I do, man, it's as simple as black and white. So come on, folks, please think when you drink.
He's got pride in his heart and dirt on his hands. There's one place to find a hard-working man for country. Look at that truck.
Come on, let me show you where it's at. Come on, let me show you where it's at. Come on, let me show you where it's at. Oh, Miller Lite, I like it like that. Now I'll ask Sally and I'll ask Sue. We're gonna rock away all our blues. Come on.
Only Miller Lite can bring together great taste and great music. Clint Black and Alan Jackson, 2 great tours brought to you by 1 great beer. Miller Lite, it's everything you want a beer to be.
Oh, Miller Lite, I like it like that.
Well, if I had money, I'll tell you what I'd do. I'd go downtown, buy a Ford truck or 2. Crazy about a Ford truck. Lord, I'm crazy about a Ford truck. I'm gonna buy me a Ford truck and cruise it up and down the road.
There's good music, and I think it's just a nice place and a time for us to do that.
But I learned how to swim and I learned who I was. A lot about living in
Miller Lite and the Alan Jackson Tour, where great taste meets great music. That's right.
When you see as much of the road as I do, man, it's as simple as black and white. So come on, folks, please think when you drink.
He's got pride in his heart and dirt on his hands. There's one place to find a hard-working man for country. Look at that truck.
Come on, let me show you where it's at. Come on, let me show you where it's at. Come on, let me show you where it's at. Oh, Miller Lite, I like it like that. Now I'll ask Sally and I'll ask Sue. We're gonna rock away all our blues. Come on.
Only Miller Lite can bring together great taste and great music. Clint Black and Alan Jackson, 2 great tours brought to you by 1 great beer. Miller Lite, it's everything you want a beer to be.
Oh, Miller Lite, I like it like that.
Well, if I had money, I'll tell you what I'd do. I'd go downtown, buy a Ford truck or 2. Crazy about a Ford truck. Lord, I'm crazy about a Ford truck. I'm gonna buy me a Ford truck and cruise it up and down the road.
A lot of great acts on there. It's good music, and I think it's just a nice place and a time for us to do that.
Don't rock the jukebox. Wanna hear some Jones? My heart ain't ready for the Rolling Stones. I don't feel like rocking since my baby's gone. So don't rock the jukebox. Play me a country song. Before you drop that quarter, keep one thing in mind. You got a heartbroken hillbilly standing here in line. I've been down and lonely ever since she left. Before you punch that number, and I make one request. Don't rock the jukebox, I wanna hear some Jones. My heart ain't ready for them Rolling Stones. I don't feel like rocking since my baby's gone. So don't rock the jukebox, play me a country song. Play a little country music back here. Good job. I ain't got nothing against rock and roll. When your heart's been broken, you need a song that's slow. There ain't nothing like a steel guitar, drowning memory. Before you spend your money, baby, play a song for me. And don't rock the jukebox, I wanna hear George Jones. 'Cause my heart ain't ready for the Rolling Stones. I don't feel like rocking since my baby's gone. So don't rock the jukebox, play me a country song. You don't rock the jukebox, play me a country song.
It is our honor to present the Willie Nelson Lifetime Achievement Award to Alan Jackson.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Appreciate y'all singing too. That was nice. Country music's been real good to me, and I fell in love with it when I was a young man. I really loved the instruments, the steel guitars and the fiddles and things like that gave it such a unique character to me and made it its own. And I loved the lyrics and the songs and the artists and the melodies and the harmonies, and it's just real American music to me. And one night watching television, and this movie came on about the life of Hank Williams, and it just really inspired me. And I came to Nashville with nothing. Gary's talking about 3 chords and the truth. Mine was more like 3 chords and a prayer. But hung in there. The prayer got answered a little bit. But anyway,
not really.
I've just been such a fan of this music, and I wanted to come to Nashville and try to carry it on, the kind that I loved. And thinking as my mama would say, I'm so blessed, and I have been so blessed. And I've had a great team around me my whole career that have helped me, and great songwriters, and just I've been so fortunate to have all that to help me get this far. And I can't thank everybody that's been in my life all these years, but I do have to say thanks to my wife Denise over there somewhere. And we started out as teenagers and she's hung in there and rode this roller coaster ride with me for 40-something years now, and I'm probably not always the easiest person to love, but she's hung in there and helped me through hard times, and we've shared great times, the good and the bad, the happy and the sad. We've survived a lot, and I just want to thank her because she's held me up all these years, and she's my best friend, and she gave me a wonderful family over there. So thanks again to the CMA and all the wonderful fans I've had all over the world. Appreciate y'all. And radio and all the parts of country music that have been so good to me all these years. I've definitely lived the American dream, and let me have that award, gal. And I'm still living that honky-tonk dream, y'all.
A couple times we played in Montgomery, you know, the Coliseum here, and then we go over and visit Hank at his grave around midnight. And the last time we did it, it's been a year or so ago, went up there and the guitar player brought his guitar and we sang Midnight in Montgomery up there at midnight, you know. And just when we were getting to the end of the song where it stops, a little stop in the song and it's quiet. And then you sing, Hank's always singing there. Man, I mean, this falling star fell over us, and it was like, I mean, it wasn't just like you thought you saw one. It was one of those just went, it was right there in that spot. And then we hear this train in the background. Woo! I mean, it was just really eerie, and it scared us all. I didn't scare us, but I mean, it was just really special. And I've told that story a few times. I think Hank might have been visiting us a little bit.
Stirring up the dirt, and that's what I drove. But yeah, I kind of inherited my love for automobiles from him. I went to work when I was 12 and started saving money, and by the time I was 15, I'd saved up $3,000, boy, and that was a lot of money for a 15-year-old boy from where I was from. And I went to Atlanta and bought a 55 Thunderbird from a guy. So that's what I drove through high school and all. I had a white, snowshoe white 55 Thunderbird. I listen to real traditional country, and I like the new artists like Randy Travis and George Strait, Clint Black, and Garth Brooks, and people like that. And I'm also a huge fan of George Jones and Merle Haggard and people like that, Buck Owens, you know, and there's always that turnover all the time with new singers, and I think it's just time for country music to fall into that same pattern, it looks like. I was just thinking about moving to Nashville. It's kind of a big move for me, and my wife was at the Atlanta airport, and Glenn Campbell was there waiting on the same flight, and she went over and introduced herself, and he gave us a business card for Marty Gamlin, the man that runs his office in Nashville, and 2 weeks later I was standing there in his office and saying, here I am, man, what I do now, you know, and he said, well, if you're serious, you need to move up here and get a job. And so about 2 weeks later, I was up there, moved to Nashville, and had a job sorting mail at the Nashville Network. 4 or 5 years I've been in Nashville before I got a record deal. I was just, you do whatever you can do, you know, and I did a lot of songwriting, and I'd sing demos. When we wrote Here in the Real World, I thought it was a good song, you know, but it's kind of rangy, the melody, and it's hard for me to sing that thing, and it was late one night, and they said, well, let's try to do one more, and so we did that song. It ended up being the tenth. They finally offered me a deal in July. We started recording the next month, and it usually takes several months to get a record deal worked out, contract. We actually signed the recording contract in the studio, and there was a CD was right there on the shelf with the rest of them, and that's a pretty special feeling to see. A lot of people come up and say, well, you signed this for my 4-year-old daughter who just runs up to the television every time you know, we've had a lot of children. It's been pretty weird for me. I mean, a lot of these young a lot young children and teenagers that are fans, and then I've had some women that are 79 years old that just barely can't get into the club, you know, come see me, and it's just a wide range, and we've had a lot of cowboys and just guys out there too that hold their beers up in the air when we do here in the real world, you know, so it's... I had one lady was actually backstage at a show where you think they'd be a little more reserved, and it was a friend of the club owners, and he wanted to introduce me to her, and she kind of just launched herself up on me there and latched her legs around my waist and her arms around my neck, and they couldn't get her off there for a minute or two, and well, it gets a little crazy every now and then, I guess. Things have really been going good. I don't know how you dream about getting to this point, I guess, for a long time, and you imagine what it might be like, but it's just hard. It really doesn't hit you, you know. It's like when things happen, it doesn't affect you, and then all of a sudden one day I'm sitting somewhere by myself and all of a sudden realize,
And Saturday and sometimes Thursday or Sunday, you know, we were out 3 or 4 days in a row, and then usually back in Nashville on Monday or sometimes on Sunday, and then we're home for a couple of days or 3 days, and then back out again. I've had a great year last year in a lot of ways, you know, with the music business being so nice to me, and then my wife and I had our first child, a little girl, and last June, so she's about 10 months old now, and it's, I think, you know, when we accidentally, you know, we've been married for a while, and we kind of waited till the timing's right like everybody does, but it always seems to come when you least expect it, and that's what happened with us, but it happened at a time when my career finally took off, and we weren't sure how well it was going to work into the
As always, that's another video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Be sure to like and subscribe. And I love you all.